Thank you. Thanks so much for having me again. I have been to the Global Village Symposium in 2018, I believe. Thanks to Kristen and everyone who organizes this. Congratulations on your anniversary, and I'm so sorry I could not be there in person. This is a difficult time to travel for me, but I am happy I could still make it and present. I will get started right away because I know we have limited time. And I want to talk to you about the Great Caribbean as an example of how Caribbean digital humanities scholars are what I call future-proofing the Caribbean digital, making Caribbean scholarship, Caribbean digital humanities pedagogy more uh, institutionalized, but also more community-centered at the same time. And I will just lead you through our journey. Great Caribbean recently celebrated its 10th anniversary um, last year in 2024. And so it is a time of celebration for us as well. And the journey is an interesting one that shows how I, as a institutional builder, and my colleagues and counterparts in Caribbean digital scholarship have been doing this work in Caribbean studies, probably, particularly a lot of this work is happening in North America, and a lot of it in the UK as well, but also what is happening within the region is where I'll be speaking more specifically in my presentation. So just as a background, we started in 2014. I started this as an idea. I spoke about this in my presentation, in my keynote in 2018, how we got here, what my motivations were. Over time, we have transformed our work, and we have three pillars of our work: research, technology, and community. And we have four main programs right now across the region. They operate the internship program for students, undergraduate students. We have Create and Code Technology Education Program. It's primarily a summer camp that serves children in Dominica, but across the region when we do it virtually. We have a graduate fellowship, graduate students at the University of West Indies, particularly at the Mona campus, but in Jamaica, but some of them live all over the region, even if they are registered at this campus. And then we have the Community Partners Program, which is serving also everyone across the region, as south as Guyana, as north as our diaspora friends in the UK and the US, but also every place in between. We have, so I want to think about why we are future proofing, right? I want to talk about three sort of personal and professional tenets of my work and the motivations for Great Caribbean that make me think about future proofing a lot. There are Caribbean people in the future. We are in a part of the world. Yeah, so that's one reason. So I don't know if you've heard about our climate aware, the time that we're living in the Caribbean, and always worried about, rise of sea temperatures, sea levels rising, all of the reasons why we are constantly in panic over our lived existence, right? But there are Caribbean people in the future will continue to be here. And the digital provides space for us to think beyond these, these end game myths. We're trying to use the imaginative space of digital humanities to think through what comes in the after, joy and play, use it as a space of fugitivity, but also use it as a space of opacity from Edward Glissant, who talks about protecting our heritages and our local knowledges for ourselves. Not that we cannot care, but we also want to make sure that we protect ourselves from the same kinds of oppressive forces that have led us to these spaces of being undervalued and under-resourced in general. And then I also want to think about it more strategically in terms of how code and narrative. I am a literary scholar by training, so I think about the ways in which programming and actual and code and narrative generate the same space of freedom for me, and how I put those things in conversation with each other through digital humanities work, and that is imaginative communities and possibilities. We can really, algorithms give us an opportunity to change the conditions of our ways of living. And this is something that storytelling also gives us ability to do, and we can future-proof our communities and our heritage, our identity by bringing those things in conversation with each other. So this is sort of the kind of philosophical and ideological premise behind the work that we're doing in the region right now. I want to talk about institutional building. Are everyone still with me? I still have connection. Yes. Um, the Create Caribbean is began as an independent organization in a space where academic libraries and institutions with themselves under resourced. I had to make a long case I had to do this on my own with very, very little money, about $1,000 I started with. And it was because no one could actually accept me or help me at the time because they needed so much help. And it was my responsibility then to innovate on ways to make digital scholarship help those resources that I was trying to be in communication with and in relationship with. And I have spoken and given a lot of talks on this before of how that actually works. Last time I was at NSU, I talked about the library specifically and what that looked like in building relationships with them. Um, Quick Caribbean is one of the many byproducts of organic collective and organizing within the academy. I want to say that it was graduate students, it was me as a graduate student, my friends as graduate students of color, Black students, Caribbean students, people, and all of people studying Caribbean, Black studies, diaspora studies, post-colonial studies, who got together and said, wait, this digital humanities thing is really interesting, but it's looking very white male right now. How can it help us? How can we make space for it? And how can we justify it in our work at a time when we were still fighting to just actually even be able to do this work while doing our dissertation? Our supervisors, our advisors thought it was a distraction. This is in the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s. We had to fight a lot of institutional issues and validation of our critical scholarship in the first place. That research about ourselves and our people was not seen as rigorous as research that was happening in other fields. And then we wanted to incorporate the digital thing. It was hard. But digital humanities provided us a pathway for this creativity and marronage that we wanted to do. We really had to organize and make a community with each other. And most of us who were in that community still exist in that community today. I think of people like Jessica Marie Johnson and Alex Steele, all of whom I went to graduate school with, who are sort of leaders in the digital humanities spaces. And we kept these relationships and this collective going from as early as 2004. And this was organic. This was not something that we just had a meeting. We were friends and we were colleagues. We were studying together and living together and built this system together. Some of the strategies where we thought that we had to do it ourselves or get left behind because no one was going to invite us into the room. And this is probably a popular story here. I listened to some of the online presentations last week people from the African spaces and so on, talking about very similar things that you had to start from somebody just wanting to do it. Scholars who have content institutional biases about self-reflective research. I just talked about this, how we would have to deal with that, and people saying, well, this digital thing is just even further reducing the rigor of your work. And then our presenter right before me was talking about the fact that we cannot use digital humanities language in spaces that don't have a framework for that. So we have to develop new vocabulary to talk to our local communities. And this is something I definitely had to do at the beginning. Nobody knew what digital humanities was. I had to tell everyone in the Caribbean what I was doing in woods that did not include scholarship and things like that. And it was a very important piece of the strategy of institutional building. Of course, the vocabulary was a major challenge, and I'm seeing a card. I don't know what it says, but I will finish my first time. We also have money, time, labor, access as issues. The goal was to change the narrative about how DH can be a vehicle towards more innovative and radical work. And that is what we acted on to make our strategies work. And so we were dealing with bigger issues, and we knew we had to strategize around them. The technology issue and the geopolitical issue. One where we see technology being used for national development and things that did not include humanities work. And one where we see the region itself not valuing the humanities in general because of development, under-resourced, then being this sort of rescue mission to help everybody be globalized, right? So we had those two infrastructure issues that we have been contending with. But we did our work and we formalized our tenure organizing. We reached out to our networks and we amplified our work that we were doing with no money. And then asked Mellon to give us money. And they did. Mellon actually saw the work we were doing and invited us to ask them for money. And then they gave it to us in the sum of $5 million. We have a 6 OPI program that runs University of Puerto Rico, Great Caribbean, Yale University, University of Miami. And right now, we have already implemented many of the here and some of our many programs that exist. Alex here is one of our PIs as well. I just said his name, but we have others, Diana Glover, Felipe Joseph, Melissa Gonzalez Velez, and Natalie Biolini, all of whom are leading digital humanities scholars in the Caribbean space. And then we prepare the architecture for the future by doing several parts of this grant. Policy changes in the universities on evaluation and scholarship, teaching graduate students and developing a future cohort, programs in the communities, which I am leading, and succession and sustainability for this beyond our time. And so this is how Create Caribbean has done this. We have developed an internship program and a community partners program alongside each other that serve each other. The community partners program has reached St. Kitts, St. Lucia, Antigua, Jamaica, Barbados. I can go on and on and on about how many community partners that we have. And it is the community partners program that has helped us to institutionalize and create sustainability for this at the University of the Western, which is the leading university, research university in the region where I work in the Department of Literature and English. And we've been able to develop many programs here, including the graduate fellowship for graduate students and bring the internship program over with the DH minor coming up in the next academic year. So here are some of our sustainable infrastructures that we talked about. The programs you see at the bottom include some of the things that Create Caribbean has been able to build in 10 years. We have our technology education program, which is really successful and it's schooling for children because you have to start young, and community means at all ages in all respects. We have the summer intensive training for our community partners. We have a Caribbean Writers Room with the literary platform. And now we have our Pelican Lab where I'm sitting right now at the University of the Western Limona. It is a fixed space given to us by the university to continue to build it. And the physical infrastructure of it is really important to the university's commitment to help us with the sustainability. And so we are strengthening our existing institutions. We are developing programs here. We are working with minimal computing, who my colleague just spoke about, which is so important to the work we do. And we are helping my colleagues here at the university to institutionalize digital humanities by giving them skills. I still don't know what it says, but I'm on the last slide. I can see the number on it. And of course, the Pelican Lab is our new space that we got in the last academic year at the University of the Western Indies to continue this work with the university. Has been so impressed with this trajectory that they want to invest in it and help us continue to develop this sustainability. And we have a hub for teaching, research, and experimentation. We are hosting our community partners for the university community this summer. We are strengthening this infrastructure by bringing it into classrooms, developing digital toolkits for my colleagues in humanities skills to be able to take tools and methods into their classrooms, whatever discipline they're in. And also we're doing some programming and training for student staff and the wider community across all kinds of tools and methods, from archives to AR, DR, and 3D modeling. So I just wanted to use this opportunity to show you what it's like to build it from scratch, from nothing and $1,000 to having $5 million to do it now, and some of the successes that have come with that. So thank you for giving me that opportunity, and I look forward to hearing our next presenter.